The fact that State Bank of India has just announced that they would be looking at raising 50,000 crore via the debt market, now that's a big number. You are not going the equity market yet, and you've not gone the equity market route in last couple of years. But 50,000 crore coming from State Bank of India and fundraise is a serious endorsement. And then you're telling me you'll grow at 12 to 14%, which means that you'll beat the number.
Sorry?
You'll beat the number if you're raising capital that aggressively.
No, see, the point is that we are raising capital. This is going to be a 81 itself is somewhere around about 20,000 crore approval we have taken. And we will also be raising some infrastructure bond because we have got a decent book of infrastructure bond. So when we look at the pricing of the infrastructure bond and our book which is there to cover it up, it makes a lot of economic sense for us to go for the infrastructure bond, and then we'll be raising some tier 2 also. So essentially we are doing all this because we feel that we have obtained the approval, and we'll be in fact we will be very mindful about the prevailing interest rates, and accordingly we'll be knocking at the door of the market for raising the money. But yes, of course, we have a plan which will be done during the course of the year.
So no equity raising plan in FY24?
See, the way we look at it is that since we have got an ability to raise 81, and also when we look at the tax efficiency of our 81, from the point of view of the cost cost of capital, 81 makes a lot of economic sense. So that is the reason why we want to really ride on the strength of the balance sheet, raise 81 and create more and more value for our stakeholders.
Fair point. Some of your peers are also raising a red flag that PSU banks are not really pricing in the loan correctly. They're taking far greater risk than what actually they should be taking. Is there a valid criticism?
It may be relevant for some of the other public sector banks, but certainly not for us, because why? We are very, very mindful in terms of the RAROC, and each credit proposal which we evaluate, we have a threshold level of the RAROC, and we ensure that it must meet that RAROC. So I think we are very mindful in terms of and that RAROC actually captures the risk and the pricing of the risk properly, and that is something which is evaluated by all the decision makers before committing any lines.
Couple of last questions, Mr. Khara. Every time we speak to you about, you said, look, it's growing, and we're happy the way it is growing, but we wanted to grow more before we list it. What is that more? Because now itself it's a force to reckon with. It's become a platform, the size, the scale. It itself has become a independent bank of its own now. What is the right time for to list?
I think to list or not to list is a secondary question. The first and foremost is that how to leverage the potential which is available in YONO for the benefit of our current stakeholders who have reposed their confidence in the bank. So our effort will be that. Our effort will be to reduce our cost. As I mentioned, that YONO is one of the levers which we are using to reduce our costs below 50%. So hopefully we have already got about 60 million odd registered users, and more than 10 million users are logging in on a daily basis. So we are now, in fact, as far as the user experience is concerned, we are trying to improve that experience. It has already been done. Now we are embarking upon our next project, which is 2.0, and this project is nothing but creating a digital bank within the bank. So I think once we succeed in doing that, and we actually want to ramp up our number of users, from registered users, from 60 million to at least 300 million.
So if I read in between lines, you will only list after that number is achieved.
I will list or not list will probably will deliberate at the material point of time.
Okay. In FY24, at some point in time, would the SBI board be consider exiting Yes Bank? It was an investment. It will be treated like an investment.
Too early to say. We have not really broached the subject in the board. So once we broach the subject in the board, I'll have their mind.
And one more subsidiary, sir, which is very close to your heart, SBI Mutual Funds. You said that it's doing well, number one in terms of size, scale, number of investors stroke unit holders. You said I will list at the right time, but AMC stocks have just gone down 40 to 50% from the high. So I'm assuming that that listing plan is also on the back burner.
As of now, yes. As of now, because actually, such kind of entity are not in need of the capital. These are knowledge-heavy industry and they are capital-light industries. So I think our effort is to continue to invest into knowledge building of the company and not as much expose them to the market risk of raising equity.